All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're deconstructing a poem that is just so personal, but at the same time feels completely universal. It's Kamala Das's My Mother at 66. It is short, but wow, it packs a punch about love, fear, and that really difficult realization that time is passing.
But before we really dig into the poem itself, I want you to just think about this question for a second. For a lot of us, there's this one specific moment, right? A sudden, sharp realization that our parents aren't going to be around forever. And that exact feeling, well, that's the heart of this entire poem.
And this is the line that just hits you. It is the poet's shocking moment of clarity. She sees her mother sleeping and makes this absolutely brutal comparison. It's this one observation that really kicks off the emotional journey that we're about to follow.
So the thing you have to get about this poem is that it's all built around a physical journey, just a simple car ride, that perfectly mirrors a much deeper internal journey. It starts off so ordinary, but it gets very complex very fast.
The poem drops us right into this very real, very specific memory. The poet, Kamala Das, she's in the car with her mom. It's a quiet, normal scene, you know? Her mother's just dozing off in the passenger seat. But it's in that stillness that all these painful thoughts really start to bubble up.
The poet realizes with this jolt of pain that the frail person she's seeing isn't some illusion, it's the reality of her mother's age. And what's her first reaction? To push it away, to distract herself. I mean, that is such a human thing to do, right? When a truth is just too painful to handle, we look for anything else to focus on.
And this contrast is where the poem's central conflict just comes roaring to life. Inside the car, you've got this quiet, pale, aging mother, a symbol of stillness, of mortality, but when the poet looks out the window, she sees life just exploding with energy, trees that seem to be sprinting by, happy kids spilling out of their homes. It's this powerful, stark contrast between life slowing down and life racing forward.
So all of this powerful contrast, it builds and builds into the poem's core themes. These are feelings that are rarely spoken out loud, but are understood by pretty much everyone who has watched someone they love get older.
We basically see four big themes weaving through these few lines. You've got the obvious one, aging and mortality. But then there's that deep, gut-level fear of separation. The huge contrast we just talked about between youth and old age. And finally, this idea of unspoken emotions, which really comes to a head at the end.
Now, what I think is so interesting here is that word familiar. This is not a new feeling for the poet. It's the return of a really primal childhood fear, that terror of being separated from your mother. That ache, it's been there the whole time. And just seeing her mother's frailty brought it all rushing back.
The setting here is just so important. The car ride doesn't just end anywhere. It ends at an airport security checkpoint. And that physical barrier becomes this powerful symbol for the separation the poet is terrified of, the final separation of death. She can only stand there and watch her mother from a few feet away.
This is the last look the poet takes of her mother. And this comparison is it's beautiful. Think about a late winter's moon. It's kind of dim, hazy. It doesn't have that brightness and energy of a summer moon. It perfectly captures her mother's paleness, her weakness, and this feeling that she's getting close to the end of her life's cycle.
So, how in the world does Kamala Das pack so much emotion into such a short poem? Well, she does it through her absolutely masterful use of poetic devices. This is where we get to see the real magic happen. First up, we've got the simile. You probably remember this from school, right? It's just a comparison between two things, using the words like or as to create a really clear picture in your head. And Das uses two incredibly powerful similes that basically anchor the whole poem. The first one, comparing her mom's face to a corpse, is just shocking and raw. The second one, the late winter's moon, is a lot gentler, but it's just as sad. Both of them work together to paint this picture of fragility and this feeling of impending loss. Next, we've got symbolism. This is where an image isn't just an image. It stands for something much, much bigger. It's how a poet can layer all this extra meaning into the physical world that they're describing. What's really powerful here is how these symbols are working against each other. The winter moon represents her mother's decline, the end of a cycle. But the sprinting trees and the happy children, they represent the total opposite, that endless energy and continuation of life itself. The poem is somehow holding both of these truths at the very same time.
And finally, we have repetition. It's a simple device, but man, it is incredibly effective. By repeating a word, a poet can make us pay attention to it, create a kind of rhythm, and really reveal a much deeper emotional state.
This is maybe the most famous line in the entire poem, and is the perfect example of repetition. The word smile is said 3 times. That immediately tells us, okay, this is not a simple, happy smile. There's something else going on right below the surface.
The entire poem has been building to this one final haunting image. So let's break down all the complex emotions that are packed into this one simple 3-word action.
Out loud, all she says is, "See you soon, Amma." It's a promise, right? It's a hope. It's what we say when we don't want to say goodbye. And using the word Amma, which is such an intimate, loving term for mother, it just makes it even more heartbreaking. But we, the readers, we know the absolute terror that she's feeling on the inside.
And this is where that theme of unspoken emotions comes full circle. The smile is a performance. It's a brave face she's putting on to protect her mother from her own fear and sadness. But it's also maybe a way to reassure herself, to try and hold back this overwhelming wave of grief. The repetition of smile and smile and smile shows you the sheer effort it takes to keep that mask on.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought. The poem, yes, it captures a daughter's fear of losing her mother, but it also captures something so universally human, that gap between what we feel on the inside and what we show on the outside. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much of our own lives are spent just smiling to hide a different and maybe more difficult truth?